I think it's about time I play a little bit of catch-up with the Studio Series War for Cybertron toys, because they've released a couple recently, and I am a pretty big fan of both of these. I will fully acknowledge one of them, it's take it or leave it. Very high on personal preference. It's a retool of a figure that I was personally pretty happy with, but I definitely see why not everyone would be super excited over the Decepticon Trooper. But hey, it's a Transformers army builder. We don't see those too often nowadays. I think that's pretty cool. But Ratchet. Whew, this Ratchet. So, I opened this on a live stream, and my first impression was kind of rough, because one of the accessories had a pretty big problem, and I was just kind of being a dum-dum, and I was really struggling to figure out the transformation. But I know the transformation. I figured it out. I'm starting in vehicle mode for both of these because I just feel like it. But honestly, this transformation has now become a transformation that I genuinely enjoy. And I think this alt mode, this toy, is fantastic. And I've yet to complete and finalize my top 10 Transformers of 2024 list. But I have a strong feeling that this guy, if he doesn't make the list, he's going to be damn close to making the list. Because this is a great, great figure. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I know I'm a little late to the party on talking about both of these, but hey, I don't care. I talk about things at my own pace. I mean, hell, how many times do I talk about wacko Transformers that came out like 20 years ago? I have a whole playlist of Transformers Cybertron toys, and those videos actually do surprisingly well. So, here is the Decepticon Trooper first in his alt mode. I gotta say, it's looking pretty snazzy. I think the gray is a little bland. It's definitely kind of a bland shade of gray plastic. I think if it was a little bit more on the gunmetal side, this would have looked better. But I think that some of the purple highlights, as well as this really nice, like bronze, almost green color. I think it is almost like a greenish bronze. I have red-green color deficiency, so it's a little bit hard for me to differentiate with subtle shades of green. But it is looking a little greeny to me right now, at least in this moment. But it's a very nice color, regardless. I just think he probably could have used a little bit more paint, especially in this alt mode. Now, this figure is a retool of a barricade. As you can see from the bottom, this is just a deluxe barricade retool. And I think it's a fairly successful one. I'm not quite sure what parts are entirely new or not, but I definitely know that like the backpack and everything is significantly different enough from barricade. And hey, I think it's really cool to have the cannon fodder of the video games as a toy. It's not the greatest figure in the line. I still think those crowns go to the likes of Optimus and now this Ratchet. But this is still pretty solid. I definitely do enjoy it. It does roll not that great, unfortunately. Especially compared to Ratchet. I almost called him Wheeljack. Like, Ratchet rolls like a dream, dude. That's because he has all 4 wheels on metal pins. That's what helps Transformers actually roll spectacularly. Meanwhile, looking at this guy, they're on those cheap little, like, mushroom-style pegs, and they have very little free spin when you actually do that. But these wheels, giving them a free spin, they're going. Like, they will go for a while, because they're on those metal pins, and that's what works. This alt mode for Ratchet looks incredible. Except for the weapons, it look like trash. I just had to show the weapon storage, because I know someone would have pointed it out. Yeah, this vehicle mode looks fantastic. I love the little, I guess, spark beat monitor. He has this very nice separation of the whites and the reds. I think it's looking great. I haven't examined the model from the game. I can't tell you if it's, like, fully painted or not. I'm sure it's missing some detail, because the character designs for this game were insanely detailed. You can see the front looks really nice. It has like that nice sort of glowing energon, whatever look that all these characters had in the game. I guess like a sort of windshield looking thing going on there. Autobot symbol. Yeah, it's a really, really nice alt mode. And you can see the transformation is very intuitive on this guy. This is a great transformation for a great figure. It is so good. But we're going to talk about Ratchet after we get the Decepticon Trooper transformed and out of the way. Alright, so getting our Decepticon Trooper transformed, first let's remove the gun because, we got to. What to do next? What to do next? I believe it would probably be easiest to, like, peel away this top bit right here. Kind of get this a little bit peeled out of the way. And then this will unfold, and we can see, hello, Decepticon boy, how you doing? I'm doing just fine, thanks for asking, bro. Alright, and then we can just, like, separate the arms. Those are attached in a few different ways. And then shimmy those up a little bit. His hands are very nicely concealed in these little flaps right here. And I feel like they definitely did improve the arms on this guy, because he actually has a 90-degree elbow bend now. So that is much appreciated. They actually did improve that articulation. But the legs definitely feel a lot like Barricade, because you have these big old panels you move down, and then you just rotate the waist right here. And then you can still do the thing that you do on Barricade, and you can have this up at his hip if you want, but I think it looks particularly ugly on this iteration of the mold, and I believe it's supposed to be down. You are supposed to have this down around his leg, just like this. And I think that looks a little bit better, if you ask me anyway. Definitely gives him some of that lower bulk, but I think it still looks the part. And then last but not least, his backpack, we will just... Ooh, wow, that was a weird noise. We'll just fold it up, fold it in on itself, and then it'll tab in. That tab that held the gun in place will just tab into his back. And there we go. Here's our Decepticon Trooper in his robot mode. And I gotta say, it's a good robot mode. It's a great robot mode, in my opinion. I definitely acknowledge that it's not perfect. He definitely has a bit of a backpack, and he's got some weird junk hanging off on his ankles. But I think for a Transformers army builder, especially of a character design like this, I think this is a solid figure. I definitely am the kind of Transformers fan that is pretty happy and satisfied with a lot of what Hasbro puts out. I'm not one of those nitpicky fans, I can tell you that. I am not a very nitpicky Transformers fan. I know some people have commented like, geez, this guy's just happy with everything. Sometimes, yeah. And I'm honestly pretty happy that this Decepticon Trooper, personally. I do acknowledge it's not perfect. The gray plastic is still there, and I don't think it looks that great. But I really do enjoy the paint. I feel like we have some more paint in this robot mode. We have paint on the arms, the shoulders, the torso, the head, the knees. Some of the car paint carries over. I think he's got a lot of nice deco, and I think it looks pretty nice. I have very little issue with the physical appearance of this toy. Getting in close on the head sculpt, that is very, very nice looking. Looks like an old school Mandalorian, like KOTOR era Mando. But he's got a nice Decepticon symbol right there. A lot of nice sculpted details, like if you're a customizer that wants to pick even more of this out. There's a lot to work with on this guy. Looks very, very cool. I definitely think it has the War for Cybertron vibes. It's a very nice iteration of a, Decepticon army builder. Basically a Viacon. This is the cannon fodder of the game. And you still do have weapon storage back here, if you want to store his gun back here, because it still utilizes the same gimmick for the weapon, where I don't believe he can hold it still, unfortunately. I kind of wish it would just have something where he can hold it. But we can remove the arm. We can plug this in. You're going to have to forgive me. I'm not quite sure which way is the top way. I'm going to assume all the pegs and ports go on the bottom. Not quite sure. It's been a while since I've played the game. But yeah, that gun looks nice. Definitely a nice looking gun. And we can take the arm back here, and we can fold in the hand too to make it look even better. We can store it... Oh, wrong way. Oh, there goes his hand. Kind of annoying when they make a transformation step that particular, where you have to have the hand folded in a particular way. But we can just store the arm back here. It's a little loose. I feel like it could hold in a little tighter, but hey, you can store the arm back here. And yeah, there's our Decepticon Trooper. I think he's looking really nice. And I think his articulation is a step in the right direction too. His head is on a ball joint, and it pretty much moves around in all the ways you need it to. It can tilt a little bit too, which I appreciate. His shoulders are on these hinges for transformation, as well as a ball joint. You have swivels at the elbows and the bicep. Ball joint at the wrist. You have a swivel at the waist. Ball joints at the hips that actually move pretty good, considering. Thigh swivel. Decent bend at the knee, considering all of the junk he's got. And his ankle as well can move up for transformation. So, proven that this guy can actually get into some pretty good poses. We can kind of have him in a stepping forward lunging pose. I knocked into his arm on the back. That's my bad. Kind of get his waist turn going. Have his arm back, kind of like he's looking surprised. Get that arm over. And yeah, that is a pretty competent, nice pose for a figure like this. I'm pretty happy with this guy. So with our Decepticon Trooper out of the way, he needs someone to shoot at. And let's get Ratchet transformed here. Now this Ratchet transformation is incredible. The engineer behind this, I applaud you. This is spectacular. And I feel like this figure, like the heft and everything and the engineering, is well worth the Voyager price point. This is a great, great toy. So where do we want to start? I guess maybe with the top? I just transformed this guy into the car mode right before I started filming, so I should be able to remember. Yeah, we'll start with the top. Then I guess we'll split everything around the back here. And then his legs are going to swing out. Uh-oh, that's my bad. I forgot you want to untab these things on the bottom so they don't just fall off. Uh-oh. Yeah, his shins are going to fold down and tab in down there, so you want to make sure you untab those before you start going crazy with everything else. But I think how all this folds up is pretty clever. There's a lot of folding and everything, and it goes in pretty fast. Like, that's pretty much almost all the folding said and done, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like that's all folded in. Does this panel need to move anywhere else, or is that good? I think that's it. And then go ahead and close this up, right? I think so, maybe. Almost. We want this panel facing this way. Yeah, there we go. Because then those pegs are going to go into that. Yeah, and that looks way better as well. Those panels close into the leg. Very, very nice. So just showing you all that again. Move that. And then all this crazy panel stuff is just going to fold up and collapse into the leg in such a way where everything just goes together and goes in so smooth that you can't help but just be satisfied in how everything turns out. All right, now working with the upper body. Unfortunately, like many War for Cybertron figures, a lot of the front vehicle mode section is going to just go on his back. But I feel like the backpack on this guy is very successful and very nicely done. So with this section here, the torso and the arms, the thing I struggled with was the positioning for the shoulder pads, because they have this hinge here, and I thought you had to have the hinge in for the transformation, but no, you just want to leave the shoulder pads perfectly fine, because the waist is going to fit into that cavity right there. So the rest of this kind of just deals with unfolding, uncurling, untabbing, like it all comes together so nice. I love how the arms make a lot of motion. There's a lot of motion in the arms to get them as straightened and proper as they need to be. And there's a lot of articulation that comes with it. Believe me, this guy is articulated pretty competently, especially for the design and everything. All right, and then these shoulder pads, we can move these and move them down. And if you want them to look a little bulkier, you can reposition them. You know, you can kind of work with those as you see fit. You can have them down all the way. I think the character design, he actually has his shoulder pads pretty bulky. Then we'll just move that torso into place. And then his backpack here, we just kind of want to fold this in, and it has a very nice, to me it feels game accurate shape. Close that up, and then we can finish it off with a classic kind of movie Ratchet spin. That was a terrible sound effect, but I can't make a weird, like, actual Ratchet noise like he did in the 07 movie. Take a look at this bot mode, dude. That head sculpt is spot on to War for Cybertron Ratchet. The torso looks spectacular. I can't wait to get this mold as Ironhide. I like the positioning of the wheels, and again, they're on those nice pins. Like, they used the Voyager budget, and they got those wheels pinned in, man. His backpack feels very nice, honestly. Feels very accurate, like the shaping and everything around the back. Like, that feels good to me. May not be 100%, but that's how I feel about it. The arms are definitely a little on the long side, but I feel like they have so much articulation that it's going to work for you. It's going to work out for you. The rest of the details are really nice. Again, I love how all those panels on the leg come together. Like, that is just very, very nicely done. And you definitely want to make sure that the leg is... It almost feels like it's sloping a little bit, but that's how you want it to be. Like, you want those knees straight for him to be able to stand up straight. I feel like the shape is kind of going to deceive you a little bit. But honestly, one of the best things about this figure as well is the weapon integration. So this guy has some seriously nice weapon integration with those weapons that I took out just a little bit ago. So his axe. I had an issue with this axe when I first got it, because how you put this in, there is the peg right here that needs to fit through the hand, and that peg was so tight that it was like bending and twisting the handle and giving off so much squeaking and everything that I had to sand it down. This is after I've sanded it down. It's still this tight. But we just want to work that through, then have him holding it on the bottom portion, and then we can have him hold the axe. And hopefully not every copy is tight like that. If it is, just sand it a little bit, dude. It'll take care of it. And this axe is awesome. I love how these Voyager figures come with these massive big accessories. And his arm cannon, which has like this cool spinny thing at the end of it, not exactly sure of the weapon, it can actually finally be held. If you want him to hold it, he can hold it. That was literally a complaint I just had with the Decepticon Trooper, and this guy can actually fulfill that issue. However, this goes on the arm very nicely, and I want to show you how that works. So the arm just pulls off like all of the rest, and then this will go over, and I actually like how this little panel right here goes over the wheel just a little bit. Goes over the wheel just a little bit, because it makes it look like it belongs. It makes it look like it's a part of the bot, and I really enjoy that. But then you have the arm, and you would think, oh, the arm just tabs in somewhere back here, right? No, it doesn't just hang off the back like all the rest. They actually use his backpack for something good. You can undo the backpack, and then you fit the arm in here, and you close the backpack around it, and it's entirely concealed. His arm is absolutely hidden in the backpack. That is insane. That is incredible toy engineering. And I feel like stuff like that is what makes a good figure a great figure. I feel like another thing that makes any figure great is articulation, and this guy does a great job with it. So his head's on a ball joint. It doesn't really get too much tilt, but it gets a little bit up and some side to side. The shoulder pads are on hinges and ball joints, so the shoulder pads are pretty much going to do whatever you want them to do. Say the arm is pointed all the way forward. The shoulder pad can move up and out of the way to accommodate for that. And there's also like that little hinge in there. I've never been quite sure what that hinge is really a benefit for, but it's in there, I guess. The shoulders can move up all of the way, and obviously forward. You have a bicep swivel on both arms. The elbows bend 90 degrees. And again, you have so much versatility with these shoulder pads. I genuinely enjoy how those work. The torso is on a swivel at the waist. Love that. The hips are on universal joints, which move all the way out and all the way forward. Swivel above the knee. Knee bend, pretty good considering all the bulk. Pretty good. And I do believe he has a little bit of a toe joint, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. 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 I see the hinge there. There we go. Oh my gosh. Yes, he does have a ankle rocker. I was so worried. And he does have a toe joint as well. So lots of great articulation on this guy. And again, I cannot wait for the Ironhide retool, because this is, honestly, I love the Optimus, but I do think this Ratchet is probably the strongest release out of this War for Cybertron line so far. And I feel like I'm partially also saying that too, because I'm really biased to finally have the figure. Another shout out to a really good one, Sideswipe. I kind of forget that figure exists every once in a while, even though it's one of my favorites. So guys, there we go. There's my catch up on the latest Studio Series War for Cybertron releases, that being the Decepticon Trooper and Ratchet. Ratchet is incredible and perhaps one of the best Ratchet figures that Hasbro has ever produced. Definitely up there. For sure, like top 3 Ratchets ever for me. It is such a good Ratchet. The Decepticon Trooper, it's definitely good. I enjoy it. I like it. I'm biased because I love War for Cybertron, and I'm just a sucker for Decepticon cannon fodder. But if you're looking for the best Decepticon cannon fodder figure ever made, look no further than the RID Viacon. Look no further than the Prime RID Viacon, because that is exactly where it's at. But this one still isn't bad. I think it's an effective retool of that barricade mold. It's a great way to reuse that mold, considering that there probably wouldn't have been any other option otherwise. And I'm definitely looking forward to Ironhide. I think I'll probably like the Ironhide even more than Ratchet, because Ironhide is really cool. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about these figures down in the comments below. Both of them are pretty widely available at retail right now. I'm filming this after Christmas, so, you know, I don't know what the luck's going to be after the holidays, but hey, as they're accessible, they're good. The Decepticon Trooper, you know, maybe get on a bit of a sale, maybe pick up 2 of them if you're an army builder type. But the Ratchet, ooh. If you are a Transformers fan that enjoys modern, good Transformers figures with great engineering, you owe it to yourself to get that Ratchet. It is a well worth it Voyager class for me. And it's also a little bigger, too, than your standard deluxe. And do keep in mind the Decepticon Trooper is actually a little larger than your standard deluxe. So they're both great. I recommend them both, but Ratchet is definitely the star of this show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Special shout out to channel members, as always. Thank you all so much for your continued support. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.